talked about today, the whole reason for the meeting?
Well, the purpose of today's last 3 days meeting was for the, as all of you recalled, about after the apology from the Harper government, we used to have a National Residential School Survivors Society, and after the apology, funding disappeared, and what we did is now we brought all representatives from each of the regions across Canada to form our Residential School Survivors Circle group here to deal with issues such as the apology that's in front of us, with the Pope's visit to North America or to Alberta, and some of the logistics we talked about, and also the working relationship that we have ongoing with the bishops. As we move forward, we hopefully, and we know that the commitment is there by our former National Chief Phil and myself, along with Kenny as a survivor, and along with other survivors that are here today, and our 3 bishops that come and visit us today, in regards to moving forward on the issues that's before our families and our communities back home. So those are my opening comments. So
could you give us your name, please?
My name is Ted Quewezance, spelled Quewezance, from the Keeseekoose First Nation in the Treaty 4 territory of Saskatchewan, and I've been appointed as the interim chair for the National Residential School Survivors group that's here today. So that's it for me.
So Ted, I guess just to kind of put it in simplistic terms, has anything been agreed to here today? I understand that there was a draft of an apology. There was possibly a request for the Pope to visit some other locations.
Well, I don't think in regards to the apology, I don't really think that we like to see some wording into the apology, number one. But that's it's the final decision doesn't rest with the bishops. The final decision rests with the Pope in regards to what he wants to put into the apology. It would have been nice if the bishops had the power to put it into the apology, but it's with communications, it's up to the Vatican.
Excuse me, before you ask a question, can you just state your name?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Cam McIntosh with CBC. So that said, what happens beyond this meeting?
We still, like I stated in the opening, we have a working relationship with the bishops. There was, from the trip to Rome, the delegation of authority to the bishops of Canada, it was to work in your specific regions and working with your survivors. And we had a discussion on it today, and that's happening in the regions. The bishops are working with survivors. The big priority right now is how do we get our survivors to Lac St. Anne's or Edmonton, where the Pope is coming to. We feel that from Manitoba west, everybody will be going to Lac St. Anne's, because there's 2 events that we're aware of. In Edmonton, Lac St. Anne's, and of course the football stadium for a mass service, and that's about it for the visit. And the ones Winnipeg East, I mean east of Winnipeg, Iqaluit or Quebec City is open for survivors.
Could I make for 2 days we met to discuss where this issue is going the IRS issue and the issue of the Pope's visit, the apology, which was delivered now by two popes, one in 2009 and another one on April 1st of this year. As I understand it, the media was not fully in agreement that the apology delivered was not appropriate. I was of that view as well. And as a group we met, we drafted a statement which basically states that the Catholic Church has to accept ownership and responsibility for what happened to First Nations people and their families, the negative experiences that we all had. I didn't have those in a Catholic school. I had them in an Anglican school, two of them, for 10 years. But the results were the same. The impacts were life-changing and life-lasting. And we expect, at least I expect, the Pope to apologize on behalf of the Catholic Church in the right way. How that's worked out in terms of words is something that we've agreed to work on with the bishops, and that the bishops can have influence on what the Pope says when he comes. He's coming to our homeland. He's coming to Canada. He's coming to treaty land. And he has to say, I am sorry for what happened to your people and your children on behalf of the Catholic Church. How he says it is the prevailing, outstanding issue. And it will require discussion. And it'll be committed in the words. And personally, what I heard in Rome was not bad. And what I heard in 2009 was not necessarily good. But in Rome, there was a big improvement this year. So, this is the third strike coming. I think that the Pope is going to say the right thing. And the other issue that we grappled with is location of the visit. 3 locations were picked. The survivors had no say in that. At least this group of survivors didn't. We weren't asked. So we asked the bishops if that can change to include other venues, perhaps Kamloops. And the answer was no. But it might be still open. We don't know. Depends. So we dealt with a possible covenant that will be negotiated on issues that remain outstanding. They're political issues, on legal issues, and the church will stand behind us and support us on that. And that a legal framework has to be negotiated with the appropriate people, Canada and the provinces, on rights, such as the inherent right. Treaty implementation, long-standing issue. These are all reconciliation issues. They need to be resolved. And the Catholic Church is committed to stand behind us. We don't expect them on the front lines, but they will stand behind us and support us. So I think we had a good 2 days, 3 days. The third day was with the bishops. And I understand that they're in a difficult position. And but we have been in that position for a long time. And we did a few things when Phil was the national chief. We did the Indian Residential School Settlement Agreement. The TRC did its work. A report was delivered. Much of it has not been implemented. That's part of our work. The TRC, 94 calls to action. The last, from 43 to the rest, Section 94, those are reconciliation issues. We need to make them a reality. And I'm going to leave this this meeting with an open mind, and I have a positive feeling that we're going to get the work done, and that the Catholic Church is going to be there supporting us. Those are my comments.
John Senator for Radio Canada. Since we have the bishops here, on your hand, what are you planning to happen today?
Well, first there. Yeah, I can start. Sure. Can you hear me all right? Or? Okay, good. You know, that's fine. That's fine. Oh, sure. So Richard Smith, I'm the Archbishop of Edmonton. Well, your question of what's next is precisely what was on our minds towards the end of the meeting. And as Ken was saying, certainly the bishops in Canada are committed to walk with survivors, walk with all Indigenous peoples moving into the future. As they also mentioned earlier, they've come together as a group and they've met now for a couple of days. And we were pleased to get the invitation to join them for this morning. So we were with them for 2 hours, maybe, 2 to 3 hours of conversation. And I think we could hear from Ken that there was a lot that was put out on the table, a lot more than could be discussed in any substantial way in a couple of hours. So we got the same question right now, and one of the things we would go away to is talk to our brother bishops. We're not here today in any representative capacity. We were simply invited to be here and to listen. I was glad to do it, and glad to continue into the future. So what might those processes of ongoing conversation look like? We've got to go away from here and actually ask ourselves that same question. When might this group meet again? Are there ways that we could be with them and walking with them? So that's basically how it unfolded this morning.
Just on the issues that Kenneth brought up on vocation, on the wording of the apology,
Yep.
how receptive is the Vatican to advice from the bishops? Or
I would say, in my experience, that they're open. They want, and we saw that, I'd have to say. We saw that very clearly from the Pope himself, and the Pope sets the tone, the Pope sets the signal. And you may recall that during the delegation to Rome, he did something absolutely unprecedented that had eyebrows going up all around the Vatican, whereby in the space of a few days, he gave 5 hours of his schedule to listen to the delegates who, one after another, shared their own personal stories of grief and pain, but also their stories of hope and longing for reconciliation. And he heard that, and the way that he responded to them at that particular time, I think, was a signal to all of us, and particularly to the bishops, that we want to be working together. Now, they're open, certainly, to input, but at the end of the day, for a whole host of reasons to which we would not be party, they'll come up with what with what the Pope himself will say and how he will interact and engage. But on the basis of my own, and it's a bit limited, but on the basis of my own personal experience of this particular Pope, I have a sense, as Kenny said, that he'll do the right thing, he'll say the right thing, whatever that ends up being, because he really wants this to be a step forward, a step in the whole healing process. And because of this strong desire of the Pope to be here and to encounter, I'm confident that we'll all be finding ways forward in this. Probably the clearest indication of his desire to make this work is the fact that he's coming at all. I'm delighted that he's coming, obviously. As a bishop, I'd be very happy to see the Pope come here. But as I was sharing with the group earlier, I'm also astonished because of his health, his stamina, his limited mobility. And I wouldn't be surprised, I do not know this, just so you know, but I wouldn't be surprised if people were advising him not to travel at all. In fact, there had been hope for a visit to Lebanon. That was stopped, all right? He'll be going to South Sudan and the Congo just weeks before coming here, which will exhaust him, we know that. And yet he's still saying to everybody, I want to be there. So that determination is going to be a very strong signal for all of us that he wants to get this right and work. So yes, for them to receive input from us as to what that would mean, I'm sure they'll be open to it.
Okay, just one last one for me. It seems to me when we speak to survivors, there's a clear differentiation between an apology that comes from the church, by the church, for the actions of the church, or an apology that apologizes for the actions of some people within the church. Mm-hmm. It may sound like splitting hair, but it's important to the people that we've spoken to.
And we heard that this morning, and we've heard that in many ways. So we'll take that to heart, as Ken was saying. We have to take that to heart now and try to find the wording that will land well for everybody. Don't think we're quite there yet, but we'll be working at that.
So just to clarify.
So this will be the last question. Okay.
Okay. Is that having more stuff like in campus a realistic possibility, or are you just now thinking about how you will bring the survival here from?
It would be the latter, because the Vatican's made clear, and they made clear from the start, that this has to be a very, very limited visit. For reasons that we now all understand. So how do we have a visit that will be limited in geographical scope, but that will also be very impactful nationally? And so at this stage, the Vatican has announced those 3 sites, and when the Vatican announces it, that's it. Further announcements will come in terms of more particulars as they get ironed out, I should think. So with the sites that they've chosen, how do we make them best work for everybody? That's where we are at this stage.
Okay. I'm going to end it now. I want to thank all the media for coming out. I want to thank the bishops, our leadership, National Chief, former National Chief Phil, our chairperson, Ken Young. Thank all of them. Thank the media. And remind the media that don't sensationalize today's meeting or other meetings as it relates to residential school survivors. This is a human interest story. Treat it respectfully. Your descendants and your ancestors will be just as proud of you if you dealt with this as a human interest story and don't play with our lives. Appreciate it. Hi. Naskum. No.